Hi, I'm Christy with Unite.
And I'm Chris with Unite.
And today, Chris and I are excited to have very special guests, Lacey and Christy, joining us today.
And they're from Baldwin Wallace University, University in Cleveland, Ohio, just outside of Cleveland, Ohio in Berea. And can you guys introduce yourselves?
Sure. I'm Lacey Kagelnick, and I serve as the Executive Director of Corporate and Organizational Engagement with Baldwin Wallace University.
Awesome.
And I'm Christy Reklinski. I am the Program Assistant for the Center for Innovation and Growth, which Corporate and Organizational Engagement is housed within.
Great. So for those who aren't familiar with Baldwin Wallace, can you all share with us just a little bit about your university?
I would describe Baldwin Wallace as a small regional comprehensive university. As Chris said, we are located about 15 minutes from downtown Cleveland. And so we're perfectly positioned to be working with our external corporate partners here, right in our own community and within Cleveland as well.
Great.
Perfect.
So thinking back to last fall, winter, when you all gave us a call, tell us a little bit about what was going on in Baldwin Wallace and the mission that you all were tasked with and this job that you got tapped or raised your hand for, Lacey and Christy.
And so when we were thinking about the future of corporate engagement at BW, we decided to do some research of other institutions, aspirational institutions who were doing corporate engagement successfully, and take a look at those places as a benchmark for what we might be able to do as we begin to develop out our model. So that sort of happened at the end of last spring and into early fall. And then our office was launched in October officially.
Great. So kind of thinking back there, any pointers or tips or things that you would advise to someone who maybe is in that same spot you are or you were today?
Well, first, I would say we absolutely tapped other universities within the area and within our state who were already doing it a little bit prior to us, just to get them talking, find out what had worked for them and what wasn't working. And obviously that's how we connected with Unite, which Unite was very instrumental in helping us get our feet underneath us. So it was definitely reaching out to colleagues and other universities just to say, hey, we're getting this started too. Their insight was very important in saying a lot of us are just getting started doing this. And so we're all kind of in the same boat together, and they wanted to help us and they wanted to get feedback from us once we got started too, how we could just work together and make it something that everybody was learning from each other in.
What were some of the challenges that you initially faced at Baldwin Wallace with executing this new office?
Well, as I said earlier, doing corporate engagement wasn't new to BW. We have a wonderful community here. Our faculty and staff colleagues are incredible. And when external folks were reaching out to the university for a need, we could trust that our colleagues were serving those needs really well and effectively. I think the challenge was we didn't exactly know what was happening across the university, right? So we might have a company calling a particular area on campus, their needs were being met and served, and then they would move on to another department for something. And so they were sort of doing it in all these different ways, but it wasn't coordinated. And so the purpose of this office was really to create a front door to the university to make it better for business to engage with BW, make it easier for our clients to engage across the university, and for us to be providing that service, not trying to figure it out for themselves. So though BW is small and nimble, flexible, friendly, easy to work with, it still is hard to navigate an institution if you're not internal, right? So I think that was probably the challenge, is making it better for the folks that we serve, and then improving the communication among all of us who are serving external clients so that we could work in a more coordinated way. And that's easy to do when your intentions are good and you're serving them to the best of your ability anyway. It's a matter of sort of putting a bow around it and saying, here's how we can collectively make the experience better.
Great. So what do you love most about corporate engagement work?
Because students are central to everything we do here at BW. I love to help facilitate opportunities that students can benefit from, right? So a lot of the work that we're doing with clients involves students in some capacity. So when we get assigned scope of work and we're doing that work with students and they're getting the experience and they can put it on their resume and they're building their professional network, and those opportunities may be pipelines for future internships or full-time jobs. That's when I, drive home at night and think like that was worth doing. That was worth doing.
Yeah, it's definitely rewarding work. So thinking back to also January, so around January, December last year, we officially made our partnership happen. Can you talk a little bit about how and why you all selected Unite?
Yeah, so let's start with the how, because as Christy said, we did a lot of benchmarking with aspirational institutions, and one of those institutions was the Ohio State University. And I reached out to the AVP there to have a conversation about corporate engagement. So in my conversation with the AVP, I specifically asked about Unite. What is Unite? Who are these people? What did they launch? Tell me about it. And I recall the feedback being, you need Unite. You need to call Chris and Christy, and they can help a university like yours, because what we were looking for was a process, a plan, help developing an infrastructure. And as you know, as this engagement has gone on, there's been a lot of consulting, right? Just like, I've got a question, we've never dealt with this before, you've probably experienced this, how can we help? So that was the how. And I do remember that early conversation that the four of us had. And certainly the process was what we needed. But we also felt like you were the right kind of people to work with. And that's critically important to BW. We're about relationships, not transactions. So we knew that we were interested in a partnership that with both of you, because you'd be in it with us and you have been. So that was sort of the how and why. And now fast forward, 8 months and here we are, down a path, not fully down the path, but we're down a path and making great progress together.
Awesome. Well, we have enjoyed it every step of the way.
Same. I would echo that too. It was just getting on the call with both of you initially and just realizing there was an ease about working with you and just your professionalism and just the connection that the four of us made. We just knew that we would work well together, and that was so refreshing. In addition to all the information that you gave us, there was a schedule involved, because bless me, when I see a schedule and that helps me wrap my head around how we're going to do this, I was so relieved.
And you were instrumental in that, Christy, in keeping us on track and moving the ball forward, and it was really fun. So
yes, everyone needs a Christy on their team.
Exactly.
Christy with a K.
100%.
So now that you're here, now that you have launched the office, you're internally working and externally working as well, what advice would you give to someone in this role, maybe just starting out?
You can't do this work alone, and it wouldn't be any fun anyway. So you might as well find the folks on campus who can be your champions and your partners and engage them early on and keep them engaged as you continue doing the work.
So where are you now? So we ended our training and so forth and delivered that around April timeframe of this year. Where are you now? What have been some of the successes, wins with implementing some of the things that we worked on together?
One thing that I remember learning from Unite was absolutely about being transparent and getting the people in the room and having them know that everybody's included and you're not going to leave somebody out, even if maybe you have a relationship with them that is not the level that you want it to be. But including those people in the room and being transparent about everything. I loved what Unite gave us as far as the templates to use with the different organizations they were working with, because it gave us a process. And so one of the clients that was a surprise to us when we first started is a client that we've worked with in the past. And maybe there wasn't always follow through, and we got to the actual stages of having a proposal and having a project go through. And what was really surprising to us is that this client came through as soon as we finished up our whole engagement with Unite. And we have had 3 successful projects with this client now. And some of it is just the people that are in the room, but a lot of it is the process that Unite gave us and what our role is as corporate and organizational engagement, how to facilitate that relationship. And like I said, it's been great that we had this one client that in the past we couldn't just quite get there with them. And now we've had 3 successful projects in less than 3 months with that client. It's been amazing. And there's another client that we've moved forward with. We had a successful event with them. And these are clients before that, we would start a process with, but maybe there was something along the way where we got held up or there wasn't just that quite follow through. And so that's been, I would say, the bulk of our wins since we started. And then we have several in the pipeline, probably about 3 to 4 other clients that are in the pipeline right now that we're moving forward. And we just have this process to work with that Unite gave us. And it just gives us a lot of tips and tricks on how to make things successful.
Right. Can you talk a little bit about how Unite has helped build some of the internal alignment around the mission of this office and how that might have impacted your internal teams and helped you move forward?
Part of it was visuals with the data collection.
Yeah, exactly.
I will say that part, because with the data collection across campus and being able to see it in black and white with the portfolio report that you helped us put together and looking at the companies that are already highly engaged with us, and then the companies that were moving up the pipeline, for them to see that visual, they were astonished. They were astonished at what companies were at the higher end of, it was a balance of us working with them and they're not, pulling us too much in one direction. And then everybody else was coming up that pipeline. They were just in awe of that visual picture. So that, I think that, and then it just brought them more together and thinking we're all in this together and how can I help? And that just brought more alignment across the campus in general.
Yep, I agree. And I would say, as I needed just a second to think about that, because I think about how we did corporate engagement before, and I'm trying to think about how we do it now. And, it's like you renovate your house and you can't remember what it was like before because you just love the way that it is, right? I kind of love the way that it's going right now, and it's hard to remember the way it was before. But I think one of the things that we did as an institution, I'm sure other schools do this too, is that when a client calls and they have a need and you're beginning to scope that need, you think it's important to bring every single person in the room who might be able to help that client or partner at that moment. So as a result, there may be like 2 people from that company and like 12 of us, and we're all trying to figure out what they need and how we can help. And again, intentions are really good, but then nothing really happens. I think one of the ways we've created alignment is that we've scaled that process way back. So with using your process, we feel more comfortable now saying the call comes in perhaps to corporate engagement, or it may start somewhere else and come to corporate engagement. I may be directly involved and identify a person who can be my partner in that early conversation. We have those conversations following the process to a certain point, and then we build the appropriate engagement team. And I think that's where alignment is happening, because we're bringing the right people together at the right time. We're not overwhelming folks on either side, and people don't feel left out if there's just 2 of us in that early conversation. They trust that we have a process. This is the process. Lacey and Christy and perhaps somebody else will have those early conversations, and then we will be brought in as we're needed. And Lacey and Christy aren't going to take over those relationships. They're all of ours together, right? And I think that has created a lot of alignment and just built on the trust that already existed in this university. Again, it works well because you have the right people. That was not hard for us at all, but having a process that people understand and can get behind has helped us align. And I think why, when Christy says we've done 3 engagements with one particular client, I think that's why we were able to move those things together, right? Because it's like, for this particular part of the engagement, they need these few people and these 3 areas of expertise. And then it's out and we've got the new one engaged, and then the next. And so everybody feels included in part of the process, and they understand it as well. And I think that has really helped with alignment.
Another question, kind of even thinking back at even ahead of that, so you used the remodeling your house. So when it was just when we first came in and met with that broader team, can you talk a little bit about that exercise that we did with them, where we started to identify those engagement types and so forth, and how that went over with the team, and then how that helped you with understanding what BW's offering was to companies? Yeah,
I remember that exercise. And I remember thinking and debriefing with both of you that we were both trying to evaluate our portfolio of offerings based on what we do now and how we serve and what's aspirational. And I think we might have been mixing that up a little bit when we were, I remember thinking, because we want to do more, right? We want to have a bigger impact in this community. And so certainly we had aspirations. So we had to get really clear with that group about what it is we currently offer and how successfully we are in that area, and then beginning just to think about what we continue doing, what we stop doing, and what we need to begin doing to better meet the needs of the folks that we serve. And I think for the group, because they're a wonderful group, they were incredibly open to that process. It was educational, right? So you're hearing someone talk about something in their area and they're saying, oh, that's something that would complement what we do. It began to help create some nice synergies and just deepen the understanding across the campus of what we're offering. So it served a lot of different purposes. And again, I think Chris, it all goes back to alignment, right? Like we're in the same room, having conversation, talking about the things that we offer, and we're doing it together as a group. And so there's no surprises when we start to move the initiative forward.
Are there any last minute things you would want to say, or anything about holistic corporate engagement you feel like you haven't said?
Hire Unite.
Make sure we get that.
Yeah. And don't wing it. Like this work is too important to wing it. So it's helpful to have a process and external partners to help move the initiative forward. And this is advice that Christy gave me, taking the time to slow down and get organized and do it right is better than just trying to go fast and maybe not being able to meet the needs of the clients that you hope to serve. And so I think that's what you all helped us do. You helped us slow down to go fast.
Great. Well, Lacey and Christy, we could talk to you all day because you guys are great to work with. Baldwin Wallace and the entire community is lucky to have you two collaborative partners leading this charge, because it shows how passionate you are about your university internally, and then also your external corporate partners. So thank you so much for taking time to be with us today and share your story.
Right. For more information on Unite, you can check out our website at www.unitecorporateengagement.com.